Leonid Volkov, welcome to 7:30.
Good day.
What's the latest on Alexey Navalny's health and state of mind in prison?
Well, the latest is he has been put to the punishment cell, which is the most severe punishment within the Russian prison system, for the 12th time. And this is a very small and shitty cell, like 2 by 3 meters large, with a neighbor there who didn't wash himself for the last 2 months. It's continuation of that strategy that Russian government is actually following for the last few months, try to break down Alexei psychologically, like without physically harassing him, but to make his life in prison unbearable.
So what is
they will not be able to break him down this way. So it's not going to happen. But doing so, trying to harass him psychologically, they of course put his health in danger.
He returned to Russia in 2021 after he was poisoned by the Russian Secret Service. Why did he come back?
We never had a discussion with, pros and cons, like whether he should come back or not. We always knew, even since the moment when he still was in coma, that he will return once he recovers, or if he recovers, just because, he's a Russian politician who did nothing wrong, who belongs to Russia, and who wants to continue his political activities there.
Even with the possibility that he could be imprisoned for life?
It is a life sentence. What's happening to Alexey Navalny, that's clearly a life sentence. The question is, for the duration of whose life? Alexei's or Putin's? One might think, looking at the maps, that Russia is a huge country. It's apparently too small for these two men.
But at the same time, a form of martyrdom is all very well. But what does it achieve if he's not able to be free to talk to the world about Putin?
Well, he is, and he is speaking up. We maintain contact to Alexey Navalny through his lawyers, and this is how he puts his messages out, his messages to the world, which we believe are especially powerful because of where they are written. And like, for instance, the statements that he did on the first anniversary of the full-scale invasion to Ukraine, when he very clearly condemned the war, condemned Putin, talked about the necessity of return to international recognized borders of 1991, which is also returning Crimea to Ukraine, and compensating Ukraine for the Russian aggression. This was especially powerful because it was written by a man who sits in Russian prison in Putin's custody and still is brave enough to speak up about all these matters.
Does Navalny's previous position that Crimea, although illegally annexed by Russia, should remain in Russia, does it undermine his standing with the West?
Well, he never had this position. This is just wrong. Navalny condemned the annexation of Crimea on March 16th, 2014, in a very clear statement, being the first one of Russian independent politicians to do so. He later, on many occasions, assessed, and I believe that this political assessment was correct, that despite the annexation of Crimea was illegal, it's hard to expect that it will be returned soon. And, well, indeed, 9 years have passed. But the position that this annexation was illegal and should be undone was always there on the table.
Do you think that Ukrainians will ever trust Alexey Navalny because of the Crimea issue and because of the language that he's used, the racial stereotypes he used about Ukraine in the past?
Well, first of all, Alexey Navalny, like ethnically, he's half Ukrainian himself. But we don't ask anyone to trust any words. We believe that people have to see what politicians are doing. And like what Alexey Navalny was consistently doing and what he is doing is opposing the Putin's regime and fighting against Putin. And when we finally manage to prevail and when we'll lead Russia to democratic transformation, to become a peaceful country, to become a reliable trade partner and reliable partner in international relations, there will be no need to trust our words, but just to consider our deeds.
You're here in Australia. What is it that you are here to argue for? What do you want from Australia?
Australia is important as one of the leading countries of the world, as one of the leading players with regard to the sanction policy, because Australia, along with US, UK, European Union and Canada, maintains sanction lists against Putin's friends and oligarchs. And this is important for us, that this sanction policy is tailored to be efficient, to split Russian elites and to defeat Putin. That's why we are talking to Australian politicians. And also Australia has a strong and vocal Russian diaspora, which is important for us because I'm talking a lot to the Russian diaspora to make them part of the global Free Navalny campaign, which is, well, a part of our political strategy.
Putin seems to be preparing the Russian people for a long war. He's talking about the survival of Russian statehood. He's almost stopped talking about an end to the war. What would it take for the war to end in these circumstances?
There is no silver bullet. There is no simple solution to end this war. This will indeed require a lot of patience and a lot of time. What is very clear for us, for the leading force of Russian resistance, is that war equals Putin and Putin equals war. With Putin in power, the war will never end, because he can't admit his losing, and even if his troops will be expelled out of Ukraine, he will try again and again and again, because otherwise he can't explain to his core, to his support base, what he's doing and why all these casualties and why all of this happened. So to end the war requires to remove Putin of power.
And just finally, Leonid Volkov, you were with Alexey Navalny in Germany just before he took his fateful flight back to Russia. What was his mood that day? What was your last conversation with him? We discussed possible scenarios, or what we'll do when he returned to Russia, and if he got arrested, if he got under house arrest. We had very practical conversations, and also his mood was very optimistic. He knew that he is going back to continue his fight, and he's not going to give up. And, well, optimism is a job requirement for what we are doing for so many years. Otherwise, you just can't be a Russian opposition politician without a good chunk of optimism. And, well, that's his message to the world. It's also in this Oscar-winning documentary. Don't give up. Keep fighting. Keep doing something. Even though, for instance, public expression of protest is in Russia almost impossible now. People get arrested for turning out to the street with just an empty sheet of paper. But still, there are always options. There are always possibilities to do something. And that's our message to everyone, keep fighting. Leonid Volkov, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.